open. All right, and away we go. So yeah, any props that you might like to have, and welcome. And if it's your first time in my yin class, extra welcome. And please know that you can do whatever you want, especially because you're in your own living room or whatever room that you're in. But you have complete agency and power to change things, to add things, to subtract things, to make things work better for your body. And if you have a question, I am always here and listening and watching, so you can chat it in, or you can even unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm always happy when people do that. So we'll just start just a simple centering. Simple centering. I was thinking about this season that we're headed into, or we have already been in, and how bonkers it can get for a lot of people. And just how I personally want to create a clearing in my life. Feel like it's not like I have to push all of that stuff away, or I have to not participate in the busyness and the activity of life, but to create like a little clearing in the forest of all the chaos and the urgency and the busyness, where you can just take a deep breath in and let it fall right out of your pores, let it fall right out of your skin. And coming home and centering in your bones, in your bone marrow. You might take a few breaths that are deep, but also gentle. Deep and slow and gentle. And maybe they're quiet, maybe they're deep and slow and so gentle that they're barely a whisper. And with each breath, it could be as if you're washing your body with your breath. You could wash the heaviness off of your skin. You could wash any tension from your tissues as you breathe in and slowly out. Each breath perhaps taking away one more layer. Each breath removing a layer of dust, a layer of grime, a layer of heaviness, a layer of grief, a layer of urgency, whatever it might be that you've been trapped under a bit lately. Or just a breath in and out to feel your skeleton, to wash your skeleton with your breath. And maybe it's the first time today, or maybe it's the first time in a long time that you've thought about your skeleton. You can bring your mind right into your own personal bones, top to bottom, core and extremities, and let your breath wash your bones. And perhaps your bones might be able to release a bit of tension that they've been holding. And you could even imagine washing your organs, that you could drop the breath right down into your center. As you pour the breath into your torso, belly, it's washing some dust off of your organs. Maybe even imagine them like, yay, getting a little happier, everything working a little better, all the fluids moving a little more easily through your body. Taking note if it feels like anywhere there's a traffic jam of energy, a blockage at all, a clenching, a gripping. And if you find one, you may not, but if you do, just to offer it some gentle breath. And imagine things moving through it easily, fluidly, But every pathway in your body is like a happily moving river. Nothing dammed up, but everything just organically flowing through the joints, flowing through the bones, flowing through the organs. And to take note of this feeling, the feeling of letting knots untangle, of releasing traffic jams in the body, especially in the joints, and allowing for a natural flow of breath and energy. And this is really key in the yin practice. Two people could be doing the same pose right next to each other and look exactly the same. But one person keeps coming back and checking in, looking for these blockages, letting things flow, letting things smooth out. And the other one's trapped in a thought, and things get crimped and clenched. And what's happening physically in the body makes all the difference in this practice. So as best we can, and to never, beat yourself up if you do find like, oh my God, for that whole pose, I was like curled up in a clenched ball. Totally okay. Let yourself be human. But as often as we can, we'll just keep coming back and checking in, creating this clearing of space to allow for a beautiful flow through our organism. So we're actually going to stand up. We don't do that often in this class, but we're going to slowly. So this beauty, this slowness, this quiet that you've cultivated, this ease, keep it as you slowly stand up. And we'll start with the dangle. And so as you stand up, you can have your feet comfortably apart underneath you. They might be hip width or less or more as you wish. Knees a little soft. And then I know you can't see my head. It's going to drop in a second, so don't worry. But we're going to roll down really slowly. You can let your chin fall towards the notch in your collarbones. Let your fingers just be like little waterfalls falling from your palms. And then start to gently pour down from the top of your head, rolling down through the spine. Arms just like fabric, like two great fabric kites just hanging from your shoulder girdle. And little by little, so it might take you a few breaths to get to whatever's your end point here. And if you want to grab a block, a pillow, or anything to put your hands on or rest your head on, you can. And we're just coming into a soft forward fold here. And you can also bend your knees a little or a whole lot as you wish. And see if you can bring your breath and your attention now into your spinal column, this glorious, elegant spinal column of yours, right in the dead center of your body. And as you keep your attention on it, to invite gravity in, to invite breath in, to invite ease in, that moment by moment as you hang here, your spine could get unpacked. And some of the tension could wash away. Anything you want to do with your arms is welcome as well. And if you're new to my class, also want to let you know that you can move, that even though this is a very quiet and often still practice, sometimes a subtle adjustment can create a profound effect in the feeling of how energy moves through your body and how tissues release. So if you need to move, do so gently and mindfully in the spirit of quiet and the spirit of yin. I'm going to head from here into a squat, sort of a classic yin combo. So, squatting, I know not everybody's knees, ankles, hips love a squat. So, if you want, you can always lean your elbows on your thighs. You can even sit on a chair or something, or you can even lean your butt against a wall if you've got one nearby. Otherwise, as low as you want to go for your squat, and then deciding what your body needs in this moment. And it may want more forward bend. If that's the case, you could drop your hands in front of you and let your upper back and head drop. And it might be that you're craving some space in the front of the body, and you could bring your palms together and gently touch your elbows to your inner knees. It's not so much a push, but when they rest there, it creates more space in the front of the body, the front of the hips. And so not the front of the hips, the inside. And you could do that. Sometimes I like to bring the prayer together and then drop my forehead onto the hands there. My thumbs coming right about to the center of the forehead can create a nice feeling of pressure, perhaps. And then when you arrive, just settle. The dust settle. I love these two shapes at the beginning of the class because they really kind of bring you into an intimacy, a self-intimacy. And, for myself, for sure, I often feel very fragmented. And when I arrive on my mat or my rug, I really enjoy the opportunity to go from fragmented to intimate. And these forward bends and these sort of snuggled in shapes are a great way to practice some beautiful intimacy with your own skeleton, muscles, joint, skin, blood. So from here, you can take yourself out to all fours. And so, however that might happen is fine. It might be that you just drop your knees and walk out. If you need a little extra padding under your knees, take care of yourself and add a blanket or a pillow. And then cat cow, starting just simple cat cow, letting the belly fall, the tailbone and the head rise for your cow, and then arching the spine for your cat. And of course, I think you all probably know by now, you can add on, you can keep it really simple, or if you want to shake your bones around a little bit, you can let them rub up against the inner lining of your skin, any which way. We'll do a handful of breaths just on your own for a moment, and then I'll add some more direction to it. So coming back to a simple cat cow, if you went off in some beautiful other direction, arch and round. And then we're going to add just a little shift forward and back. So on the arch, you can shift slightly forward. Your shoulders may be going over your wrists, below or in front of your wrists or fingers. And then on the shift back, it's a rounding. I'm just going a couple times like that, shifting forward and back. It's nothing extreme here. It's pretty gentle because what I really would love for you to feel or think about is a softness in the armpits. Some of you have done this with me before. I just love it to think about softness in the armpits and all around underneath the arm area. And real softness in the front of the hips, at the top of the thigh and the hip crease area. So just slowly kind of gliding, like cultivating this ease of flow, gliding back and forth. And try not to let anything get too grippy or clenched. But paying particular attention to the armpits and the front hip creases. And as you glide, they stay really gentle. Some of you may want to take this a little further. If it feels good, you might come forward and let your pelvis drop. So it's sort of like a lazy up dog, and you can take it back in the direction of a gentle child's pose. But notice if there started to be some gripping, if things start to get a little more hard clenching. And if so, just back it up where you can stay really soft. I was listening to Joan Halifax today, and she said she was talking about ease, about cultivating ease, and she said it's like opening the hand of thought. I thought that was so beautiful. Opening the hand of thought. Resting in the experience of spaciousness. Not knowing. So we're going to come into a back bend from here. So as you shift yourself forward into that arched spine, your cow, you can lay your whole body down on the ground, or if you want to just stay in this kind of hanging sort of cross between an up dog and a cobra kind of thing, we call it seal and yin, and you can adjust where your hands are if you want to move them further out, or the option that would be a little bit kinder if that feels like a lot would be a sphinx pose. So you can bring your elbows down underneath your shoulders, let your palms just be heavy, all your fingertips nice and heavy on the ground. Any props that might feel welcome for you, you could add them. You could put a block under your forehead. You could put a bolster on top of your arms. You could put all kinds of stuff. You can figure it out lots of ways. But really key is that you're just letting your spine hang like a string of twinkle lights from the crown of your head, draping down. And feel the lowest part of your spine. So it would be the front of it, somewhere down by your low belly, pelvis area. And imagine the water of your breath going to that spot. And as you breathe in, you pour the breath into your body, and like water, it naturally seeks the lowest place. And it pools and settles there, creating a beautiful weight in that spot. Just a reminder that you can change your mind. So if you're in Sphinx and you want to go up to the seal, you can, or if you were in seal and you're realizing that's a lot, you can come on down to Sphinx. Notice where your mind might want to go. It's often hard to get out of the habitual way we have of doing, managing, fixing, thinking. One way is just to rest in the field of your senses. The clothes that touch your skin, texture of the breath as it touches your nostrils on the way in. Notice any scent in the air, any taste in your mouth. Sounds you might hear around you. Sound of your breath. Or even listening for a sound coming from within. So coming out of this one, you might just lay yourself down, making a pillow with your hands to rest your head on. You could do cactus arms, turn your head to one side. One nice option after a sphinx is to take the cactus arms, turn your head to one side, and then slide your knee up towards the outside of that hip, almost like a half frog. It can be a nice release for the back. You could do one side for a few breaths and then change sides. Imagining once again the free flow. Right. So what we're doing in this practice is pretty simple, actually. We compress, we release. We compress, we release. And as simple as it is, there's a magic that happens when we do that. So we compress the lumbar spine, the low back. And now that it's free again, spacious, you might feel the sparkle of energy moving through. You might be more aware of the presence of that part of your body. If you had one leg bent, change and take the other one. So if it feels good to do a few more cat-cows, that could be something that you do on the way back towards a child's pose, which is where we're going to end up. And so the child's pose, one offering is it could be very simple and you could stay right through the center of it, or offering here maybe a lateral stretch of the spine. So as you come into your child's pose, you'll walk your arms over on the diagonal to one side for half the time, and I'll let you know. We'll do 2 minutes on each side. So yeah, pat up your knees if you like. If you want to even put a pillow or cushion between your heels and your butt, that could be really nice support. And if you're choosing to walk your arms sideways and take your spine and some lateral flexion, go for it. You choose whichever side you want, doesn't matter. And then when you find your shape, then you just gently re-relax. Come back to that clearing in the forest. Doesn't mean we have to push anything away. Doesn't mean that the thoughts, feelings, wrong or bad, but we're just finding that clearing within. So Joan Halifax, I was listening to Upaya's podcast, which is always so brilliant. And the most recent one, she was giving a talk on the 7 parameters of Buddhism. And in one, she was talking about poison, like not taking in poison, and specifically talking about the news and what's happening in the world. So if you're walked over to one side, you can go ahead and take your arms and spine in the other direction now. And she is saying how important it is not to take in too much poison, but that a little poison can be good for us. Just enough to inspire us to action or to be helpful. But too much is too much. Anyway, it reminded me of the story of the churning of the ocean of milk. When the sweetness of the world gets lost in the milky ocean, and the gods and the demons all have to churn the waters of this ocean, stir it to try to get the sweetness back. And as they're churning and churning, something starts to bubble out of the ocean. And it's not the nectar of immortality and sweetness that they wanted. It's actually a deadly poison. And they're all panicking, of course, because this poison could destroy the world. And Shiva steps in. Shiva steps in and he takes the poison and he drinks it. And then he holds it in his throat. He holds it in his throat until his throat starts to burn like a cobalt blue and get warm. And he transforms the poison so that the story can go on. But I love that because he doesn't drink the poison and let it become him. He doesn't continuously keep drinking the poison. He takes just enough to help the story transform. Let's come on back, walk your hands back through center. Take a moment in the middle of this child's pose, just a nice kind of symmetrical exhale or two, long, deep, gentle breaths. Coming up in slowly, the spirit of quiet and the spirit of ease and flow. Roll your way up and bring your legs around front for a little windshield wiper moment. So feet wider than hips, slightly hands behind you. You can let your knees sway from side to side. Imagining that as we do this, we're allowing for free flow of energy and fluid through the hips. We're softening all of the ropey fibers, all the ligaments, tendons, and muscles around the bottoms of our hips. So that everything freely move, bottom to top and top to bottom of our body. It's going to end up with the knees to one side. It doesn't matter which side you choose. And if it happens that when you do that, you don't have cushion or mat under your knees, you can always adjust and turn so that you do. But what we're looking for is a pinwheel sort of shape with the legs for deer pose. And so whichever leg is in front, you're going to turn in that direction with your upper body. So you can use your hands to walk them along the ground, or maybe even put a pillow or a bolster next to you if the ground feels far away. And maybe just to stay in this initial place here, just adding a twist to the spine and not going any further than that, but just settling here for a moment to feel whatever happened in your skeleton, to imagine the beautiful skeleton, the twirling spiral staircase of your spine. Allow there to be a little more weight in the bones of your hips and your legs that can descend. And then you can decide if you want to stay here or if you'd like to walk your arms out. And again, you can put them on a pillow or anything you like. Some of you might want to bring your elbows down and let your head hang. If hanging head doesn't feel good, you can stick a block or a pillow under your head. So this pose, it hits a lot of targets. You might feel it in your knees, you might feel it in your hips, but for sure we'd like to feel it in the spine, and feeling in particular a twist with a side bend here. So it's a twist with a little cherry on top. Every out breath, the urgency drains from your tissues. Great teacher T.S. Little used to talk about how speed gets trapped in our tissues, right? The speed of living, the urgency in modern day society. It literally gets trapped in our cells. So can you let the speed fall out of your cells, fall out of your skin, so that maybe little by little, the whole body can slow down, your breath can slow, your heart can slow, the organs can slow. Seeing any stories that might appear in the mind, and perhaps opening the hand of thought, resting in spaciousness. Do one last check in here. Just go through your body as if you're going through a house, room by room, dimming the lights, looking for anything too bright, too sharp, too rigid. Landscape by landscape. Everything go quiet. So that was a lot in this pose. It's a big pose, even though it doesn't seem like it at first. So when you come out, extra slow, extra tender, you might turn back towards those windshield wiper legs if that feels appropriate. Maybe it was a lot and you just want to lay down and feel what you feel, or sit and feel what you feel. Take a minute for yourself here, but staying the whole time, even especially in these in between moments. It's such a good teaching, I think, to be able to stay present, to stay quiet, to stay soft and heavy. Before we do the other side of that one, we'll have an interlude and go through the middle with the dragonfly. So when you feel ready, no hurry. When you do feel ready to take your legs into a V of any width, it doesn't have to be super wide. It's whatever feels like most appropriate for you. If you want to have pillows, blocks, blankets in front of you, go for it. And then it's leaning forward, but with a really drapey spine. So rounding, you can drop your head, try to find some ease in your elbows, your joints, all of your joints. Could be nice to lean on a bolster with your elbows if you have one. Trying not to practice out of habit, but with a real sense of curiosity, like anything could happen. Anything could happen. That's what Joan Halifax was saying in that talk today too. She said we have to cultivate the willingness to be surprised. And I know I can't speak for everybody, but I like to know what's going on all the time. I don't like to abide in the unknown, but the thing is, everything is really unknown, right? There's nothing that's not changing. And the more we can be open and willing to be surprised, the easier it'll be. Resting in the experience of constant change. Was it T.S. Eliot that said at the still point at the center, the dance is all there is? Being the still point at the center. Bring the soft flesh of your body really melt downward. Just look around for any resistance you might find, any places of habitual tension. And remind yourself this body is soft, this body is fluid. In a world of machinery and computers, this body is soft flesh. Bringing now your soft flesh, your velvety skin, your gentle waters slowly back up to a tall spine. And may windshield wiper one last time here. Right, stay where you are and just sit and let it soak in. Rest on your back. Not miss, right? To really be there for all the sparkle of the after pose, the effervescence of this in between. And then when you're ready, and if you're ready, you can drape your knees over to the other side for the opposite side of our deer pose. So 2 bends in the knees and then turning towards your top leg. And you don't even, like on the other side, I showed walking the hands over. You don't even have to go that far. You could bring one hand to your leg or even both hands to your leg and take a hint of a twist, which is still a twist anywhere along the way. It's still the shape. Feel first into the dignity of your spine, length of it as you twist, let your breath climb the spiral of it. Want to, when you like to, perhaps you walk it out and take your palms down, your elbows down, or gather some prop to support yourself. Wash the breath over your skin, let your skin soften. Wash the breath over your bones, let your skeleton relinquish grip of your muscles. Let your muscles loosen right off the bones. Let your eyes and your face be soft. Loose in your jaw. Giving the weight of your body, giving every drop of your weight over to the earth. I mentioned last week, I think, Jack Cornfield. I just love this idea, this quote that he has. It says that when you rest on the earth, she and you become stable in the midst of it all. When you rest on the earth, she and you become stable in the midst of it all. One out, real slow. Feel every little thing along the way. And we're going to let the body rest and really soak it all in. And so, if you need any rinsing off movement before you rest, please do that. And when you feel ready and complete, you can rest on your back or seated or on your side or any which way, as long as your body feels at ease. Enough. Perhaps feeling what you've stirred up, all of that compressing and compressing and releasing. Everything a little bit more sparkly inside you. Everything flowing more freely. Joints open, organs relaxed. Every energetic pathway clear, fluid. Please stay if you'd like to rest longer. If you'd like to come up, stay heavy. Body like heavy fabric, velvet, as you slowly start to call in a little bit of movement. As your limbs stay easy and heavy as you come back up to sit if you're coming up. Keep your hands on your body, some thighs, or anywhere on your body, or touch them together at your heart. Seal in this beautiful ritual, forest clearing practice. One Om. Om. Let the animals make everything better.